Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for some Harold Poitiers. This video is over chapters 25 and 26, and I know, I promised you more, I promised you better, I promised you we'd be back on track with 3 chapters, but there are some particularly dense things. One scene in particular in these 2 chapters that I think a lot is going on with, and I am not sure exactly how to take it. Now, as always in this series, I have not read this series before, so if you would like to comment with spoilers in the comments section below and have a conversation with other people who have read the series, that is absolutely fine. If there is something that you would like me to see and or respond to, spoiler-free, mind you, start the comment with my name, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, in caps, and I will know that way through the preview section to the comments that comment is safe to read. But 25, we'll get right into the breakdown. 25, there's 10 more Death Eaters on the loose. We get a date with Cho Chang. Hermione blackmails Rita because she's allowed to do anything because she's a good guy. 26, Hermione is dead. The Quibbler goes national, Moldy Voldy Dream. Harry probes the mind of Snape. Trelawney gets fired, and she is immediately replaced with a rape machine. That's not, you don't, centaurs are a loaded symbol. Centaurs are a loaded symbol. So, we'll see where that goes. One thing, I try to give credit where credit is due. Unfortunately, there's not much credit to be had in these 1 million pages of Harold Poitiers literature. But J.K. is really good with coming up with names. What was that name? Bellatrix Lestrange? I gotta credit J.K. for coming up with good names, if nothing else, and mainly nothing else. One small thing, when Harry Potter has another dream, or no, when Harry Potter goes to the Quibbler, or the Quibbler article comes out. Look at the language, look closely at the language. All the people who agree with Harry Potter or believe Harry Potter are women until Seamus on 583. Just a strange little thing going on in the text there. I'm not sure if there's anything to be made of it. But the main thrust of these 2 chapters, I think, comes towards the end of these chapters. Snape is giving Harry Potter a lesson on occlumency, and there is some ruckus in the hallway. They leave the classroom to go out, and once out, they see Trelawney being fired, being dismissed by Umbridge. Parvati, is that the name? And Lavender are distraught at the sight of this. And because they were her 2 prized, they were the 2 children that prized her, they're not children anymore, are they? They're adolescents that prized her and her practice. So that's going on, and then we get Dumbledore come in, and he says she doesn't have to leave, she can stay. She can stay because you only have the power to fire her, not dismiss her, or something like that. You can't kick her off the grounds, you can only say she can't teach here. I get to say if she leaves the grounds. After that, he brings in a centaur by the name Ferenz, maybe? I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. But I am not exactly sure how to take this little scene. And I think that this scene starts with Snape. So we have the moment where Harry Potter is probing the mind of Snape. He reverses that spell. And he's looking through Snape's memories. And one thing that I have often credited J.K. Rowling with throughout this text is that almost anyone in this text could be black, could be Asian, could be gay, could be any type of non-binary or any type of personality, because very rarely is anyone described otherwise, right? So I don't believe even Cho Chang has been described as the Asian girl. We just pick it up from her name, which is one way to do things. Again, I would, when you're picking a name like Cho Chang, there's a little more grace to be had around the edges, perhaps. But that is a way that J.K. Rowling has done things, and she's, I believe, come out and said that Dumbledore is a gay character. Never, at least through this point, has he exhibited gay behavior, a behavior that would define someone as gay, as opposed to anyone could take that action, right? So we are not being overtly bombarded with things that define characters. If you read Harry Potter as black, you could read Harry Potter as black. Well, she does things with hair as well, and Harry Potter has brown hair, so I don't know if Harry Potter could be read as black. But I think Hermione definitely could be. I don't think we have a color on Hermione's hair. Ron with red hair, obviously. But the reason I'm saying all this is because of Snape. Snape is described as having a hooked nose. He is described as having beady eyes. He is described as having greasy hair. And I understand... Okay, so in all of the before the hair, everything is stereotypically Jewish. Stereotypically Jewish. The things that propagandists would put into cartoons to use against Jewish people. And then you get to the hair and you think, wow, that's not Jewish hair. What's the stereotypical Jewish hair? Which is a sort of afro, a Jewish fro, a Jew fro, they call it. But how would one stylize that type of hair? Maybe with greases or oils. So again, we might be getting into something that is stereotypically Jewish. And I don't know why that is. Now first off, I'm going to maintain that if you want to have a Jewish person as a bad guy in your text, that's absolutely fine. But why do we have all of these indicators for a stereotypically Jewish appearing person who is also a bad guy? The reason this is giving me pause now is because in that flashback where Harry Potter is inside Snape's mind, one of the things he sees sounds a lot like a father figure abusing a mother figure while Snape cowers in the corner. Part of why this could be particularly troubling is that we don't get much description of the mother at this point. And there's not a whole lot of time left in the series, so maybe this doesn't come up. I don't know. But we do get a description of the father. And the father seems to have the same physical features that Snape does. So the father is a stereotypically Jewish-looking person. Why that's troubling if that is a scene, because it sounds like he's abusing the woman in that scene. If that's what we're getting there, if you go down into what stereotypes are with Jews, Another one of the stereotypes that have been used against Jews throughout history is that you see they are murderous against Christians. They killed Jesus. So if we're in a situation where that father figure who has the same stereotypically Jewish-looking features as Snape is abusing the mother figure, and that mother figure becomes part of the canon, and she is a Christian-looking or sounding woman with that type of name, that is extremely problematic. If you want to go into problematic texts, that would be huge. That would be a very, very troubling aspect of this literature. Moving forward from that, this scene in the hall, you have Trelawney, who is the divinations instructor. What are divinations? Divinations are one of the ancient forms of religion. Almost all religions have some form of divination. This is an inspired vision from God or the universe or however that religion sees the prime. Trelawney, even so, this new Göbekli Tepe excavation going on, not exactly new, I guess, but in archaeological terms, fairly new. This Göbekli Tepe discovery that seems to be like 10,000 years older than any known civilization that we know of. Any known civilization we know of. There is a main temple. They're not sure to call it a temple, but they think that might be where divinations were done because of some of the fossils and things they're finding in there. So Trelawney uses a very specific type of divination practice in that it is so broad, right? That has sort of been the joke about her. Oh, what is the vision telling us? This is ancient type of divination. But it is seen in many religions. Almost all that I can think of. She is being dismissed. She's being pushed out by the government. Right? So the government is causing this schism within the school. Get rid of all of the mystery. This isn't working. She's almost acting on behalf of science. One could look at it from that perspective. You're getting no results. This is hooey. Lavender and Parvati are crying. Lavender and Parvati. Maybe this is my bias coming out. I don't remember if we have any reason to think this, and perhaps this is my bias coming out. This is something that I am guilty of. Lavender is a character that I believe, always read as black. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, that's on me. Totally on me. Parvati is an Indian name with Hindu implications. I believe Parvati was a mother figure in Hinduism. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm positive. I'm 99% sure, so I don't get roasted. I am 99% positive Parvati is a name stemming from the Hindu religion. They are crying over the dismissal of this religion instructor. This is, okay, so why that? Black culture, at least in the United States, is seen as very heavily implicated with Christian culture. If you look into the atheist movement, there's a lot of work being done to try to get into black culture because there is a low number of black atheists. So when you have, the reason I'm saying this is because this seems to be dismissing Trelawney, a move towards government or scientific implemented atheism. Now, the black character and the Hindu character crying so heavily over the dismissal of a silly ancient divinations instructor is troubling. That is troubling as well. So that's going on. And then you have Dumbledore, who is an Abrahamic God type character, saying, no. You can kick her out, but we're keeping her here. And I've already got the new divinations instructor. And in the place of that divinations, in the place of the silly old ancient female divinations instructor, and when you go, the further back you go, a lot of the gods, there was a strong maternal component to religion. It was around the time of the Abrahamic gods where everything started becoming very paternal. So in the place of the silly old woman god, Dumbledore brings in a centaur, which is... So one of the things about centaurs is they're 100 miles an hour. Whatever they do, they're doing, baby, and they're doing it strong. So, and there's so much, like, I didn't even take notes on this because if I started taking notes on it, having to get a video up so quick, I was going to just take terrible notes and would be even more lost in the notes than I am speaking right now. So you're replacing this silly old woman instructor with this. Centaurs are rape machines in classic literature. Don't believe me. Please, don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. In addition, they are very masculine. So you've got the Abrahamic God bringing in this masculine influence. And I'm very interested to see where this goes. I am very interested to see where this goes. Because it cannot end well. And it cannot... This is the reason I'm so sort of uncomfortable talking about it. Not only can this not end well, this cannot end well on a symbolic or literary level. This is going to be very troubling. There's going to be some very nasty things going on. And there's, I mean, this reads bad. If you want to talk about problematic literature, like when we another small thing, this is something you can only do with the long form text. If you've been following along with my Best American Short Story series on the channel, you saw Are We Not Men by T.C. Boyle, who is at least 1,000,000 times the writer that J.K. Rowling is. And he had a short story that was as heavily... It was as ham-fisted as this. But in that short story, because everything has to be introduced and developed and have the payoff so quick that it reads ham-fisted. This is very ham-fisted, but if you were reading it simply on a story level, you might not ever get there, right? You might not ever decide, there's some bad stuff going on here, because it's just the characters at play. The characters have been developed properly with time. In fact, we are in just this book 600 pages in by this point. So there's been time to develop all of these characters, and the only new character really is Umbridge. So she alone has had 600 pages of development. Dumbledore has had how many? Snape has had how many? So this is something you can only do and almost get away with on the long form literature. But now I've lost my place. This is going to be a terrible video to watch, I'm sure, because I'm just lost right now. I am completely dumbfounded. I don't understand how someone has written this and gotten away with it for so many years, especially in this the sort of call-out culture that we're in. Call it out for lack of representation. J.K. Rowling, I haven't seen that. Call it out for sexism. J.K. Rowling, I haven't seen that. Call it out for this, that, and the other. And it's all in here. And it's even all in here in this book. And it's all in here in this 26th chapter. It's all in here in this 26th chapter. And I'm lost. I don't understand how I have been told I have to read Harry Potter, I have to read Harry Potter, I have to read Harry Potter. But anyway, we're introduced to Ferenz, I believe is his name. I'm not sure exactly how to say that. And it's not going to end well, because things are coming to a head. You can feel that in the text. And it feels like things are coming to a head with Snape, and we're going to start learning more about Snape that could really get troubling. I am not sure exactly how the payoff is going to happen with casting out the silly old religion, bringing in the classic religion, or you could read this also as shepherding in, instead of the classic religions. By the time in history where J.K. Rowling is writing this, mythology is accepted as stories. These are stories that explain us to us. So perhaps we are losing the silly, primitive, dreamlike religions, and we're shepherding in the stories that remind us of us. In that case, the government character, Umbridge, is simply causing a wall to be put up between religions, and it is the Abrahamic God character that is bringing in the stories that lead very quickly to atheistic mindsets, right? When you start accepting one religion as simply stories to explain us to us, it's a slippery slope down to accepting all religions as just a story about us, as opposed to some divine inspiration. So I stopped here in the reading because I'm not sure how long this video is right now, but this is definitely longer than anything. This is definitely longer than, it would have been too long of a video to go into that next chapter, because the next chapter has a picture, is called The Centaur and the Snake. And I think we're probably going to get into some very dense stuff there, and none of it's going to be any good. Not for Harry Potter as a text, anyway. I think that's all. I don't know. But I would be interested, again, leave that comment, any comments that you leave that you want me to see, to start with Adrian, my name in caps, so that I can immediately recognize that it is safe for me to read. I would be interested in knowing in the description below how you read this scene. And again, try to be mindful of spoilers with where this is going. I don't know where this is going. But how do you read this interaction? How do you cast these characters? Pardon me. How do you cast these characters as far as what they stand for, what they represent, the symbolic nature of their character and their standing, and what is happening with that character in this chapter, this final chapter, 26, that we got to for this reading. I am very interested to hear where this is going, because, again, symbolically, on the literary level, it's not going to be good. If you like this sort of thing, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I hope to see you for the next video in the Harry Potter series, which will probably just be a single chapter.